What is going on, guys? We're back with another video, and of course, we are doing another NFL Draft redo. Sorry if any of these get a little repetitive, but I kind of want to do most of the iffy teams. The Packers might be one soon, as we have just been horrendous. And I don't want to go into any of that right now, because that's just, I don't like to talk about shutouts. But, beside the point, we're doing the 2011 through 2013 draft, and I can't remember if we've probably done, within the last 6 years, we've done those quite a bit. This one is a somewhat, we usually do 2010 through 2012, so you're going to see 2013 be, it's kind of more newer, I guess, and we've seen most of these, but there's some, a couple of picks that aren't very common, which I think will most likely make this the first Super Bowl redo team for us. We'll find out if that's true, but, sorry once again if there are a few, similar moves. But, I like making this series, so I'm going to keep doing it until, everyone decides not to watch it. But, beside the point, it's 2011, starting pick, number 2 overall, we all know, Von Miller. What an amazing pick that was. But, there's guys like Julio Jones, Patrick Peterson down there. Would those have been better? And here we're going to say no, they would not have been better, because Von Miller has been outstanding. He's been an amazing player, and I'm going to say the Broncos clearly got this one right. I mean, you can make arguments for Julio, you can make arguments for all these other players, but I mean, at the end of the day, every single player there they were all playmakers, and Von Miller is one of the bigger ones. So at the end of the day, you can't go wrong with this. So I'm going to allow it to stay correct. Now they moved down to the 45th pick, which is actually pretty decent, because I don't remember how they did it, but it appears they split up their early second to collect 2 mid-seconds. I'm not sure if that's 100% true, but if that is, an amazing decision. At number 45, they took Raheem Moore. He played on the team for a while, although I believe, if I can remember correctly, he was the quote-unquote moron who allowed, I believe, Jacoby Jones behind him against the Ravens on, I think, the Ravens Super Bowl run that year. So, maybe not too great of a decision, but instead of him at 45, they get a much-needed position from the Raiders, Rodney Hudson. Actually, no, it wasn't the Raiders. It was it the Chiefs? Who the hell drafted Rodney Hudson? I can't remember. But Rodney Hudson, an amazing player, and the Broncos really do need an offensive line. That's their biggest need, so might see a few of those picks here. And obviously, I think a better pick than Raheem Moore. Now, this is an interesting pick at 46, which is a pick right afterwards. They drafted Orlando Franklin, and Orlando Franklin was actually a really good offensive lineman for quite a while, but I'm going to say, because I can't tell if he's retired now, or if he's just not playing, or he's a backup or something. He might be in the league still. There's actually a good chance. I know he was on the Chargers at one point, I believe. But instead of him, we're going to take a guy that I believe was recently suspended in real life, and that would be Marcus Gilbert, the right tackle for the Steelers. Stats are quite a bit lower than Hudson, but still a great right tackle, and a better player pick than Franklin, who I don't think is around anymore. Now here at 67, they take Nate Irving, I believe the linebacker, and instead at the 67, they could have made it one of the greatest drafts defensively, almost of all time, selecting Justin Houston. Could you imagine drafting Vaughn and Houston in the same draft? That would not be even fair. It really wouldn't. But of course, obviously, a way better pick than Nate Irvin. Houston's dropped down a little bit in Madden, but he's still a great player in real life. So that's going to be the selection at 67. Now at 108, Quentin Carter. I believe the safety. I don't think he's around either. But at number 108, they could have had a much better player, which would make them have the best DB core ever assembled, and that would be Richard Sherman. Unfortunate season-ending injury a couple weeks ago. A lot of great name players. I mean, it almost seems like this year's a fluke. Whoever wins is just lucky that all the stars were out, because there is so many playmakers out this year. I mean, the Seahawks have, Cam Chancellor, Richard Sherman, bunch of players out. And either way, though, we have him here. He's healthy for us. And that, probably finishes off the cornerback cores. Now we have 3, 93-plus corners here in Denver. Great defensive draft so far. Here at 129, not a bad pick, actually. Julius Thomas, he was actually pretty good. I would have argued that it was the correct choice, but instead of him, we're going to take a guy that the Bills are, I think, making a mistake with, and that would be Tyrod Taylor. They don't know what to do with him. He's a decent, serviceable quarterback, and a lot better than anything I think the Denver Broncos have around here. If the trade deadline wasn't passed, you could have seen a trade for him. You never know. I don't know if he really fits their style, but still a decent quarterback, and our pick over Julius Thomas. Now at 189, we didn't draft it. The Denver Broncos drafted a guy named Muhammad. Obviously not a great pick, because other than there's like only one Muhammad in the league that's even decent, if I'm correct. And Wilkerson really hasn't even been all that great lately, I don't think. But at 189, they get another position, another playmaker for their offense, and that would be the Seattle Seahawks' Doug Baldwin, who I believe was undrafted. Great wide receiver, pretty underrated if we're being honest. A much better pick there, and now we have a 3 wide receiver core. A little short, we have Emmanuel Sanders and Doug Baldwin, a little bit on the shorter side, but we have Demaryius Thomas, and of course a huge player coming out a little bit later in this redo. And at 204, the Broncos select Virgil Green, and we're going to argue that was the correct pick. He's still on the team. Been here for a while, so can't really go wrong with 6+ years on a team. So Virgil Green at 204 is the correct pick. Now the last pick in 2011, the Broncos select Jeremy Beal, the running back, at 247. I don't know if I mentioned that. I think I did. But instead they could have had a different player, undrafted, and that player would be Dan Bailey. It's not a huge difference between him and McManus, but Dan Bailey is really, really accurate. I would say he's the better kicker, and I think a pretty decent choice. Now, 2012, the Broncos traded their first-round pick a few times, I believe, and to the point where they no longer had a first-round selection, but at 36, they took Derek Wolfe, who's not a bad player, and I forgot to actually release him off the team because we do choose over him. And at 36, instead of Derek Wolfe, who, like I said, was a decent pick, they select Levante David. We had Bobby Wagner there, but I wanted Levante David because I think he's rather underrated. Going with someone new here, and he's a lot, not really a lot faster, but he fits the team a bit better, I think. And that's going to be the pick at 36. Here at 57, Brock Osweiler, and of course we know he, bad decision just for the fact that they didn't even retain him. They let him go. Well, I think they tried to sign him, but they let him go, and now they have him back at the charge of nothing. So we're going to argue that because clearly, A, he's not a great player, and B, he's on the team anyways, not even from the draft, technically. We could have redone it, still ended up with him, and gotten this guy. Kalichi Osemele, maybe he was the guy drafted by the Chiefs? I honestly, I get Hudson and him. Now, Hudson was definitely drafted by a different team. I think it was the Chiefs, if I'm not mistaken. But Kalichi Osemele, much better player there, and another great offensive lineman to upgrade this pretty porous core in real life. Now here, you guys probably aren't going to like this move because we've done it a few times now, basically in a row. But at 67, instead of Ronnie Hillman, who he was okay, fumbled quite a bit, a little fast, shifty back, they grabbed someone much more important to them. One of the most underrated players in the league right now, Russell Wilson, 90-plus overall quarterback, who will obviously be the starting quarterback for this team. Best we're going to get in these redos. I think this is a much better pick. Clearly, can't really even argue that. Let's move on to the next pick. At 101, they take the safety Omar Bolden, who, if I'm not mistaken, is on the Patriots for a little while. I can't remember. But instead, they take at 101 a defensive end, which, would be nice to replace Derek Wolfe since we technically didn't grab him. And that would be my Packers, Mike Daniels. Very solid player and clearly a much better draft pick. 108, we take another defensive lineman. Instead of Phillip Blake, we take Damon Harrison, signed undrafted by the Jets. Of course, now on the Giants. A great block shedding player. Look how big he is, too, though. Really should try to, put him on my ultimate team, even though I don't really play too much. Now we have 137. They took Malik Jackson. Now, this last couple of picks were actually pretty decent. And at 137, instead of Malik Jackson, they take no one because Malik Jackson was the best pick there. Of course, they didn't retain him, but he was the best option there by far, I like to think. Not going to show him because he's a Jag now and doesn't matter to me. And now at 188, talking about Jaguars, a player that they got undrafted. Instead of us taking Danny Trevathan, this is who we take. Tayshaun Gibson. A lot of people probably would call him Tayshaun Gibson because that's what you want to say, but it's not true. A pretty solid safety, kind of gone under the radar for a while. I remember like his first or second year in, he was pretty decent because he had quick dev, young, rather fast, but now he's a little slower, but still a great player and a pretty big need because Broncos don't have the greatest safeties in the world. Simmons is all right, though. And, of course, I didn't mention it, but that was the last pick of 2012. We were moving on to the final draft year, which is the 2013 draft. At 28, they took Sylvester Williams. Clearly not the best option there. Instead, they take a guy that we just recently did a redo with, but you can't argue against it. And that would be Le'Veon Bell, of course. Not a huge need for the Broncos. They have a couple of decent backs, but Le'Veon Bell is, pretty damn good, I'd like to think. So that's who they're going to take, of course. Now at 58, they took Monty Ball. Obviously, we got Le'Veon Bell, and Monty Ball is not even on a roster right now, I believe. He was tried out by many teams, and it just didn't work out. Glad the Packers didn't go for him. Not that it matters. We went for Lacey, and look how that turned out. But instead, at 58 of Monty Ball, the Broncos select Travis Kelce, and a much better pick it is. Like I mentioned earlier, team's a little short on the receiving end, but now they get a 6'5" beast of a player. A little, wild off the guns. Crazy guy, but still a great player nonetheless at tight end. And at number 90, to finish off the offensive line, a great pick we use every once in a while, we get, instead of Kayvon Webster, David Bakhtiari, one of the best left tackles in the league, one of the best tackles in the league, period. 91 overall, best offensive lineman on the team now. A great player and a pretty damn great steal. Going back to the Packers for another late round pick. You might have seen it a second ago, or mid round pick. Instead of Quanterus Smith, they take a safety, and that safety would be Micah Hyde. Was 87 at free safety, but strong safety is a little bit more needed, so that's who we go with. And we're only down to a couple more picks here. At 161, the Broncos took Tavares King. And instead of him, could add a running back. Not that they really need it, but he was the best available there. A guy that is now on the Vikings, trying to get his stride going. Kind of been 50-50, I think, this year. Latavius Murray, 6'3", 230, fast as hell. I mean, he was looking beast out of Oakland. And, yeah, probably going to be a third stringer here, though. Then the last two picks, Winston Painter. Honestly, usually, with these guys, I kind of know, like Tavares King, wide receiver, Zach Dysert, quarterback, Quanterus Smith, DN, Kayvon Webster, corner. If I'm looking through this list, every player they drafted, I know what position they played. Honestly, do not know of Winston Painter. I don't even know if I heard him. I'm going to guess offensive line. But instead of him at 173, they take another safety, and that safety would be Tony Jefferson. He's undrafted, best available, so once again, I'm going to take him over some no-name any day, whether he plays or not. But now we're on to the final draft pick, which is 234. Like the guy I just mentioned, Zach Dysert at 234, and instead of him, they get one last wide receiving option, and that would be the Vikings' Adam Thielen. Pretty solid wide receiver, a bit underrated, and still going to be a fourth guy for us, but not a bad player nonetheless. He was from Minnesota State. That's pretty fortunate. That's actually pretty fortunate. But, of course, here is the actual final roster. Garrett Bowles isn't going to play, sadly, but what would you do? I mean, you got all these other players that are really amazing. Like I said, I think this could very well be the Super Bowl year. I believe this would be the first one as well. I mean, you look at it, the main thing, I think, is because the offensive line is so improved. And then the defense is, I mean, how do you pass up that pass rush? That pass rush is sick. 99 at 95. Mike Daniels at 92, 94. Probably should put him at DN. Don't need to. Chris Harris Jr. in the slot. I mean, this looks like a really damn good squad. But more importantly, let's move on to the playoffs and see how this team actually does. Obviously, a much improved squad. I think almost any team could benefit pretty significantly from an NFL draft redo. So, if you have a team in mind, there's a nice little segue. Let me know in the comment section what years in what team. Try to go within the last, 8-ish. I don't want to have to create players, so within the last 8 years, I think. I think 2008 Maybe 2009, maybe 2008 would be the final year I would be willing to do. Because obviously if they are the best of the best, they might still be in the league. I just don't want to have to create players because that is a pain in the ain. And we're on to the playoffs. I talked all the way through it. It is what it is. Things happen. And of course, we have a bye week. Russell Wilson is MVP, 13-3. Show you guys we didn't cheat. I don't really have an agenda for the Broncos winning, so I don't know why you would think that. But 1-2 to start her off, and we lost the third to last game. So it doesn't matter there because either way, we have an MVP quarterback. We have a 13-3 team. Raiders, even though losing a few players, still did pretty damn well. Russell Wilson, 51 touchdowns, 9 picks. Rushing, Le'Veon Bell did really well. C.J. Anderson did pretty damn good himself as a backup. Receiving options, Demarius, really good. The receivers were really, really good. I mean, tons of touchdowns. Blocking, offensively, not a lot of sacks given up, which is what you like to see. But speaking of sacks, not a whole lot from the team. I don't know if I accidentally kept it as a 3-4. I believe I didn't. Ooh, maybe I did. Did I? Nah, I highly doubt Justin Houston would have done that well in a 4-3. But Talib, Sherman, I mean, we have a great defense here, like the Broncos do in real life, even though I think they got lit up recently by, who was it? Was it Wentz? I don't remember who the hell did it, but they got lit up for sure. Offense, second in the NFL. Defense, number 1, it would appear. MVP, what about Bell? Bell is not in there. We'll show you the awards. I don't think I usually do. Look at that, 2 guys in the top of the list. I don't think I usually show the awards. I don't know why I would. It's kind of irrelevant to the whole scenarios. Holy crap, DBs, got 2 of them. 2 DBs up there, just like the old real Broncos. I believe the XP should have been spent. And I think it was. It's just that some of the guys, and Russell Wilson, he's getting a little older. Was he 28 probably? Maybe? How old is Russell Wilson? I need to see. Just so I don't lose my damn mind. Yeah, 28. That's pretty old for XP for a quarterback. You got to get a Super Bowl win one of these times, NFL Draft Redo team. So here we go, going against the Jags. Are we in the Super Bowl? We are in the Super Bowl versus the Eagles. I'm actually going to watch this slow simmed. Let's take a look. 95 to their 89. We're pretty much maxed. Eagles are a tough team, though, as of late. The roster is definitely favoring them as they're doing pretty well in real life. So, this could be a tough one, but like I said before, I think this probably will be the first Super Bowl from the Redo Draft Series. Let's go to the Super Sim real quick. If I wasn't so quick with this, I probably wouldn't even have done this, but this is interesting because, I think every Super Bowl we should definitely slow sim, or you know what I mean. Take a look at this. 14-6. Eagles aren't going down quick though. It's only an 8-point game. Start of the second half. I mean, it looks favorable for us, but clearly it's not over. Oh, maybe it is. So they have a chance. Going to slow sim for them, and I think that's going to be game. That is going to be the first NFL Draft Redo Super Bowl, and it's not even close now. 38-16. 38-16 is the Super Bowl final. The Denver Broncos are back in it, and they win with an actual dominant roster. I know their defense was really sick, but their offense was a little shaky. But now they got a quarterback that they enjoy. Obviously, this is far from reality because it would just be so expensive. You'd be able to keep maybe 4 of the redo players, maybe 5 if you're lucky. Probably not even 5 because you got to re-sign Russell Wilson. Obviously, that's one of the guys you would keep. That's tough. I don't know what that's a good question for these. If you had 5 players from this roster, who would you keep? If I'm thinking this correctly, of the redos, of course, Vaughn you would keep and all that. I would keep. Let's see, Russell Wilson, Levante David, Travis Kelce, Le'Veon Bell. And I suppose Justin Houston, unless I already said that. Yeah, that's my 5. That's not bad at all. Is that rain? Or is he sweaty? I said, is that rain? He was just sweaty. Am I stupid? Oh my lord. It is what it is. The Broncos are champions. I do not really care about the stat. Actually, no, I do care about the stat line because this is a really dominant roster. Could be some interesting ones. Just going quickly through any crazy sack totals. Mike Daniels. Maybe we were in the wrong scheme. I don't care. Did really good. Got the Super Bowl win anyways. Justin Houston and Vaughn on the same line, though. Would have been nice to see what they could have actually done. Unless, like I said, that is them. Because I wouldn't expect Justin Houston to get those kind of numbers. 99-0 and wouldn't expect him to get those kind of numbers in a 4-3. Let's show you guys we didn't cheat. Once again, don't have an agenda here, so not sure why I would want to. But hey, if anything, I would want to wait until the Packers or something. So, I guess we'll take a look at the scheme as well real quick. Probably were in a 4-3. And we were. It's alright. It's alright. You would think how many videos I do like these, I wouldn't mess that up. But I do. I do. I forget that your coach is pretty much automatically on a 4-3. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Once again, if you have any years/teams that you suggest for NFL Draft Redo, let me know. And if you have any what-ifs or experiments, I very much appreciate that. If you put in a video, whatnot. If you have rosters you want me to try out for a rebuild or some sort of challenge, let me know. But hopefully you guys come back for next video. Tomorrow should be a rebuild of some sort. Don't know what kind, but should be one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully you guys come back for next video. But until next video, see ya!